The permanent collection display of the Middelheim Museum started in 1950 and was actually added piece by piece. So we discovered that there was no central story to be told except for the stories that each piece has. So we decided to re-evaluate the presentation in terms of art, but also in terms of landscape. So there is a new landscape and a scenography developed, and we conceptually recreated 4 exhibitions together with the pieces of the collection.
Groene bladeren fluisteren in de wind. Ik zie 4 mensen diep verzonken in gedachten, hun gezichten verlicht door een zachte, dromerige glimlach.
The piece in front of me now is called Surveillance Speaker by Dries de Poorter, a Belgian artist. And Dries actually assembled a camera, a surveillance camera, and a speaker. And the camera is managed by artificial intelligence. And the camera sees and the speaker speaks. So we hear what the camera sees. So for instance, I see a man in a white t-shirt with a microphone in his hand. Come Closer is a project that questions the traditional triangle between artwork, audience and artists. It questions what is an artwork, what can an audience do except for looking at an artwork, and when is the artist present or not present. The criteria for making new works that will be presented in this exhibition is always a conversation with the artist. So a conversation often starts with an interest in specific works, but then if in this conversation the opportunity is taken by or the institution or the artist to make a proposal to make a new work, we always try to facilitate this as good as possible. Because of course we like to create new works. This is also one of the expertises of the Middelheim Museum. And often artists take this chance to make a step in their work and to create a new work or to create a new outdoor work. Because we don't necessarily only invite people or artists who have a lot of outdoor works. Jonas is an artist from New York who was one of the pioneers of performance art and video art. It's a world premiere to show this work to you today. Joan is currently having a big solo exhibition in Roma in New York, finally at her 88th anniversary. Her work is being recognized. Joan is actually trained as a sculptor, but she experienced or practiced other medium as sculpture. But she has still a very sculptural approach. So the video we see here is one of the first videos she made with her first video recorder while she was experimenting with mirrors and with performers, with nude performers. This is a work that eventually led to mirror piece 1 and 2 that will be organized in the museum at the location of this tent on August 4 and 5. So at the 3rd performance weekend. And we have a group of works by Joan. This work she considers as a new work, although it is actually the outdoor version of an indoor work. So the mirrors you see there, the stones, these are all props, these hoop props that she used in the first performances she did in Brooklyn, in empty fields or in empty, let's say, building yards at a moment when industry was leaving New York and Brooklyn. We asked her if we could make a new work together and if we could bring the objects that were originally used outdoor for outdoor performances back outdoor to reflect the surrounding and the landscape. And what is very striking is that the mirror, of course, it is a very Belgian object as a surrealist item. So we have the pleasure of having Temitayo amongst us. Please, the floor is yours.
Sure. So this piece is titled "You Will Make Wishes for Your Neighbor." 54 days, and 54 days is the amount of time that Google estimates it would take to walk from Lagos, where I live, to the Middelheim. So the line is an interpretation of one of these paths, because there are an infinite number of paths, of course, that one could imagine taking. And there are 54 words on these stones, one for each of the days. And it's a mixture of English and Flemish and Dutch. My first time using non-English languages in my work. Quite a wonderful experience for me to learn how inaccurate Google Translate can be, and how many different translations there can be for a given English word. So the idea is that we'll have a performance on Saturday where this line is activated. People will be invited to touch and interact with these grinding stone objects throughout, and there will also be loose stones that people can hold and experience. Where I come from in Lagos, these stones are actually natural stones found in the environment that people use to pulverize or crush vegetables and tomatoes. They were very popular before the blender was invented, the electric blender, but people still use them because they insist that there are certain textures you can only get with these stones. So limestone is a very popular stone, for example, and so you can see the stones that are flat. All of these are stones that have been used for many, many years, which is why they have flat surfaces. And the material is copper alloy cast. We don't really know exactly what it's combined of, but it's made from gas heads and water tap heads that you use to turn on in your homes. So essentially what you see are many different people's homes of many strangers. So the idea is to really think about how we can represent community through abstract forms, through reconstituted materials that connect us to people we may never actually physically meet. So the idea is that we can think about wishes and dreams for ourselves, but also for others in life, but also in experiencing this work.
The project Come Closer is a collaboration with the Singel. In the Middelheim Museum you have an exhibition that exists of sculptures. Some sculptures are interactive, which means you can interact with it, you can play with it, you can participate on them. Others invite you more for a mental activation. And we have 4 performance weekends. So every first weekend of the month, June, July, August, September, there are new performances to be discovered supplementary on the sculpture exhibition. I would like to welcome you to come and see more than this.
Ik zie een pad met stenen dat zich uitstijgt onder de schaduw van een majestueuze boom. Ik zie een serene omgeving waar licht en schaduw elkaar subtiel raken.